Hello everyone and welcome to this week's behind the scenes devlog video, and so far this week it's been a bit slow. I haven't got that much done on Equilinox. I've been spending quite a bit of time working on the next tutorial, which is going out next weekend. That's going to be about low poly terrain, but I did finally manage to finish off all of the species for Equilinox and get them all in the game. There's a couple that I don't think you've seen in the game before, like these bulrushes here and also these turnip plants. And I've also just been doing a lot of general bug fixing and finishing off loose ends, and I also planned out a lot of the breeding trees for many of the species, which is going to be the first thing that I implement today. 8:45 now, and all of the breeding trees have now been implemented into the game, so you can see this one here for the grass tuft, and all of the other species also have their own breeding trees. And the main thing that I'm going to be working on today is actually how you progress through these breeding trees, how you breed the new species and unlock them, because I'm still not really happy with the current system. I've been testing it out this week again, and it's just not very enjoyable or easy to progress through those trees. So I'm going to try and make some changes to that system today. Just before I get started with the new breeding system, I wanted to very quickly implement a cheat which allows me to unlock all of the species in the game, because now that I've set up the breeding trees, I'd have to go through the whole breeding process. So as you can see, I have now implemented that cheat, and I can unlock all of the species in the game in one go, so that if I want to test out a certain species, I don't have to go through the whole breeding process. But now I'm going to get started with planning out the UI for the new breeding system. So I've just finished creating some quick designs for the UI for this new breeding system, and the idea of this new system is to make it a little bit more deliberate when you're trying to unlock a new species, because previously it was just a little bit wishy-washy. It was hard to tell if you'd met the requirements. Sometimes you met them by accident and would just unlock a species without realizing it. It was always a bit hard to tell how close you were to unlocking a new species, and the whole system was just a bit frustrating to use. So in the new system, you're going to be able to deliberately start a breeding process to unlock a new species, and you'll have to pay some DP to start that breeding process, which is good because it's another use for DP. And then you'll be able to see the requirements that you need to meet, you'll be able to see if you've met them, and you'll also be able to see a progress bar which will show how close you are to unlocking that new species. So I've started work on implementing this new feature now. So in the entity pop-up GUI, I've added a new tab up the top here, and this is where all the new stuff is going to be going on. There are quite a few tabs here now, I realise. I might try and merge two of them, just so that there aren't quite so many. But anyway, in this new tab, this is initially going to show you a list of all the species that you can unlock by breeding this species. So these are all the children species. At the moment I'm just showing, it just shows the icons, and you can click on any of these icons to see some information about that child species. And at the moment all the colours are just temporary. I'm just going to work on the functionality first, and then I'll work on the design. So next I'm going to add the name of the species here, and then there's going to be a button here which will allow you to start breeding that new species. 12:30 now, and I've just been doing some more work on this new breeding UI. So you can see that the names of the child species are now shown, and there's also now a button which you'll be able to click, and that will start the breeding process for that new species. And you can see that the price for starting that breeding process is also shown. And when you click on this button, it's going to bring up a new panel here, which will show you more information about how the breeding progress is going. But I'm just going to have a quick break now. I need to pop to the shops and get some food and then have some lunch, and then I'll be back to work this afternoon. Back to work after lunch now, and I've just been getting these buttons here to work. So when you click on one of these, it does now cost you the amount of DP that it shows. So when I click on the nut tree, you can see that I've just lost 25,000, but that has now started the breeding process for the nut tree. And you can see that it's opened up a new panel here, which is what I'm going to be working on next. And this is going to show an overview of how the breeding process is going. So it will show the status and a progress bar, and it will list the requirements and show how well you've met those requirements. 10:04 now, and I've made a good start on the new status UI for the breeding stuff. So when you start a new breeding process, it brings up this panel, and as you can see, this now shows the icon of the species that you're breeding, the name, and also this progress bar. And the progress bar isn't working at the moment, but this is going to show you how close you are to unlocking that new species. Next up, I've been working on displaying the breeding requirements in the UI here, and you can see that that's now happening. Obviously, a bit of an issue with them going off the bottom of the panel here, but that's easily fixed. And these are the requirements that you need to meet in order for the new species to be unlocked. And the tick box on the left here indicates whether you've met the requirement or not. And when all of the requirements for that species are met, this progress bar will start to go up. And when the progress bar is full, the new species gets unlocked. So I'm just going to do a little bit of work on the design now that I've got all the components in here. And I've just been having a look at some screenshots of other games for a bit of inspiration to see how they do requirements. And I was just looking at The Sims and having a look at this style here, which I thought was quite nice. Obviously their UI style is rather different from mine, but I don't know, I'm going to try some stuff out, see how it goes, and I'll show you in a bit. So I had a bit of a go at trying to make this look a little bit nicer, and I guess this is a slight improvement, but it's still not great. I'm going to do more work on the design next week. Actually, next week and the week after, I'm just going to be concentrating on tidying up all of the UI in the game. So obviously I'll do a lot more on this UI then, but for now I'm going to have some dinner, and then later I'll get back to work on the functionality of this, and I need to actually tie it up with the breeding system so that this can actually unlock the new species. Back to work this evening now, and I've been playing around with the design a bit more, just trying to make it look a little bit nicer. And I think this now doesn't look too bad. With the reduced margins around the edge, it definitely is an improvement, but unfortunately the margins is something that's constant throughout the whole of this entity pop-up UI, so it removes the margins from the other tabs as well, which isn't really what I want. So I'm going to have to do a load of work on that next week. The entity UI was one of the first that I added to the game, so it's now become the messiest. So I'm going to have to redo a lot of that next week. But for now, I'm going to continue working on the functionality. Good morning everyone, it is 5:30 on Sunday morning, and I wanted to get up nice and early today to go on another early morning bike ride like I did last week. And I've got a bit more of a plan today. I'm going to cycle up through the Tiergarten to the Siegersäule, which is a golden angel on top of a column, and then I'm going to cycle all the way down this road here, which will take me to the Brandenburg Gate. And hopefully, if the clouds behave, I should be able to see the sunrise through the gate. So I'm back from my little morning trip now, and today I'm going to be doing a bit more work on the breeding stuff this morning, and then this afternoon I need to get started with the editing for this week's video. Just been doing some work on the progress bar in the breeding process, so when all the requirements are met, the progress bar now increases slowly over time. It's going quite fast here just for the sake of the video. It would actually be much slower than this. And you can also see that I added an effect to the bar to show that it is increasing, because if these requirements weren't met, then the bar would just stay stationary. So this shows that you have met the requirements and it's increasing. And you can also go away, and when you come back and open the tab up again, you can see that the progress is saved. And once this bar is full, you can see that it changes color, and this indicates that the breeding process is finished. And when this tree next breeds, this new species will be unlocked. So it's coming up to lunchtime now, and this afternoon I'm just going to be working on the video. So I thought I'd give you a quick demonstration of what the new breeding system is like at the moment. Obviously it's not quite finished yet, and the design of the UI is still very much temporary, so don't worry too much about how it all looks at the moment. But I want to give you an example with the sheep here. So let's say that we want to unlock one of the child species of the sheep. So we go into this new breeding tab, and here you can see we've got 3 options for the 3 child species of the sheep, and I'm going to choose the wild boar. So if you have enough DP, you can start the process by paying that amount of DP, and now you can see that none of the requirements are currently met for breeding the wild boar, so the progress bar isn't increasing at all. So I now need to either change the environment around the sheep or move the sheep to a new area, and that's what I'm going to do here, and this will hopefully meet all of the requirements. So now when we go into the breeding tab, you can see that the requirements are now met. Both of these are environmental requirements and they're both met, and so the progress bar to unlocking the wild boar is now increasing, and all you have to do is to make sure that the sheep stays alive long enough and has enough food and everything and can survive long enough for this process to finish, and you have to make sure that the requirements are still met the whole time. And of course you can go away while that's happening. You could start a new breeding process with another sheep, and I think I'll actually add a little progress bar above their heads that you can see at all times, so that you know which sheep is carrying out the breeding process, and also so that you can quickly see how that process is going. And when the process is completed, the new species is obviously unlocked, and at the moment the species is unlocked when the sheep next breeds. So the next time the sheep gives birth, it will be to a wild boar, but I think I'll probably change it and just make it when this progress bar is full, it automatically unlocks the new species and the sheep gives birth to the wild boar straight away. So that's a quick demonstration of how the system is at the moment. I definitely want to improve on this. I've still got quite a few things planned for this. Lots of things that need to be fixed and changed and improved, especially the design. But that is the general idea behind the new breeding system. So that's going to be it for this week. Next week there's unfortunately not going to be a devlog video. There will be a tutorial, but on Thursday morning I'm flying off to England to visit my family for the weekend, so there's not really going to be enough time in the first 3 days of the week to do a tutorial, a devlog, and make progress on Equilinox. So just the tutorial next weekend, but obviously the week after I'll be back with the devlogs. Before I finish, I need to say a huge thank you to the top Patreon supporters from last month, who were Stefan, Danny D, Blue Nova, Daniel Thean, Alexander Chavez, Benjamin Fuller, Dylan Thomas, Crazy Rusky, and Timothy Gibbons. So a massive thank you to you guys. But yeah, that's going to be it for this week. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you all next time.